to go live again. Okay, so I'm part Syrian, I'm part Middle Eastern, I'm not fully Middle Eastern, and I will always say I'm part because I'm proud of being part. And I'm also proud of being part English. Like, primarily I'm English and Syrian, like a little bit of German and Dutch in there, French, way back when. But DNA, mostly Syrian and English, primarily. Those are my two primary ethnic backgrounds. I didn't grow up in Syria, but my earliest, fondest memories were of my dad talking about his Syrian grandmother. And he had a Syrian grandmother. And I know, like, some Middle Eastern families may have a very meat-heavy diet. And yes, my great-grandparents owned, like, a lot of, like, Syrian Lebanese. It was actually Greater Syria when they came over. This is a little bit of a genealogy story, okay? So, a lot of Syrians, when they immigrated to the U.S., and they were called Syrians, even though a lot of them are from present-day Lebanon. Like, I actually have third and fourth cousins that still live in Lebanon. When I look at my DNA, I'll get a match to somebody who's living in Lebanon. It's basically like a fourth cousin. So a lot of Syrian and Lebanese people, like, they make, like, very vegetarian-friendly dishes. My dad, when he was growing up, ate something called kibbeh. Kibbeh was like a... I don't really eat, like, the meat-based kibbeh because I don't eat meat. One time, when I visited my grandparents, because my grandpa's Syrian, he was like, my grandma wasn't, but my grandpa was Syrian. He said, "Oh, try the kibbeh," like, but I couldn't really digest it, to be honest, because it has lamb in it. However, like my grandpa said, he didn't eat a lot of meat. My dad's Syrian grandma, they didn't eat a lot of meat. That may be different for some families, even though they had a little Syrian grocery where there was some meat that they served and that they sold, but as their family was, they didn't eat a lot of meat. It was very minimal. And actually, if you look at the part of the Middle East that my family came from, like the Syria-Lebanon region, it's very vegetarian friendly. Probably not vegan. Like, this is the outlier. Nowadays, there's a lot of Christians and Muslims who are vegan. Like, that's cool, I think, or vegetarian. I think it's very awesome. But it could be very vegetarian friendly because actually, like, of course people eat meat, but even when they ate meat, they didn't eat, like, big giant steaks. Like my grandpa said, they ate little, like, dishes, like little kibbeh balls and things like that. Like, it was very small. It wasn't like eating a steak, a big hamburger, like a big In-N-Out burger like Americans do. So growing up, one thing I could always tell you about my Syrian Lebanese roots is that it's very veg friendly. Like my grandpa said, they ate a lot of salads, like tabbouleh. In fact, when I was little, my mom was calling me Julie Tabbouleh because one of my dad's favorite dishes that his grandma made was like tabbouleh. And even, I don't speak Arabic, but there's something called yabrek, like grape leaf. I think there might be meat in that one. But there are many vegetarian forward dishes in Syrian Lebanese culture. And I'm not saying all Lebanese people and all Syrian people are vegetarians, but actually, like, if you look at the Christian people in Syria and Lebanon and Palestine, a lot of them, like, especially during Lent, they ate very vegetarian. And there were some vegetarians in that part of the world. Like, it may surprise people, there were Muslims that were vegetarian too, and now vegan. Like, because people are always trying to argue this thing that in order to be, like, very Middle Eastern, that you have to eat meat. I'm like, who made this rule up? There's a lot of, like, Muslim vegans, and I'm like, look, you need to take a lookie. Or Christians, and I don't even care about, like, the religious aspect. I care about, like, the culinary aspect. So I was just looking at, like, food and, like, just thinking about, like, what are things that people eat? And you see a lot of lentils and rice. And I made mujadala the other day. And my grandpa, even though he did eat some meat, because he was of Syrian origin, living here in America, born in the U.S., but basically he was a Syrian because his parents were Syrian, and they had a little Syrian grocery, and he spoke Arabic until he went to kindergarten. So in those times, like my parents, my dad, he didn't learn Arabic because people assimilated and they didn't really keep their culture. Well, maybe if he had married like a Syrian woman, he would have, but he didn't. Like my grandma wasn't Syrian. She's very English, just like my mom. But anyway, point being is you should look. There's a book, a cookbook I've been wanting to get my hands on that my grandpa had actually. It was The Art of Syrian Cooking by Helen Corey, and there were many vegetarian dishes in there. But there is a good YouTube channel, and the lady who runs it, she definitely eats meat. I don't remember her name, but it's called Feast in the Middle East. And I always go back to this one video because I like her video on mujadara, the lentils and rice, because she says like you shouldn't just caramelize the onions and not burn them, which I really like. I really like her cooking style. She's very health focused, and it was just interesting watching her channel because she talks about how they're Palestinian, by the way, but she talks about all the different like what different people call the lentil and rice dishes. It's a very good video. And then the thing that I thought was really cool, she mentions how a lot of Christians during Lent would like eat dishes like lentils and rice, and you had hummus and other things. Like there's a lot of veg focused dishes in the Middle East. Every culture actually does have veg focused dishes, except I would say like maybe, I don't know, like the Aleutian people and the Yakut people, like in northern hemisphere, yes, people eat more meat, but that's all there is, But I'm not saying people didn't eat meat, but there were a few vegetarians in all cultures. Vegans, though, I know people are like, vegan is a very new thing, like not eating meat, but I just think it's weird, like when people are like, you can't be a good Christian or a Muslim if you don't eat meat. Like there's people like that. Like there's people that say, in order to be a good Muslim, in order to be a good Christian, you have to eat meat. I'm like, says who? Says who? Because there are a lot of like Muslim and Christian vegans, and they make like falafel, and they make like fuel or kashari, all these Middle Eastern dishes. I don't know. People are just funny, but look, if you want to eat meat, I get the majority of people love meat and they want to eat it, and that's everything they eat. But yeah, I was kind of following some of the videos from Feast in the Middle East, and yeah, I guess this is where I feel kind of political, and I'm gonna get a little political. She's just been a cooking channel all of her life. Like she's been on YouTube for like 12-13 years. She has mentioned that she's Palestinian, but she's of Christian descent. But this is the interesting thing, is recently she started posting videos showing what's happening to children in Gaza, like all the children that are suffering. And there's this one video where these children, where their parents, when the dads disappeared and the mom died, and this older brother has to take care of all the younger siblings. And I noticed she had to turn off the comments on her video, and I'm like, why did she have to turn off the comments? And I don't know. I guess this is just an underlying thing that I'm noticing, that they're trying to silence us and make us think, oh, this is okay, like what is happening to the people in Gaza. But they were showing like how the older brother, who I think is like, he's only 13 or something, was preparing food, and how very little food they had to eat. But it was interesting to see what he did prepare to eat. He mentioned, like, he didn't mention meat. They probably can't afford to have meat. Like, he was mentioning that they got like a can of chickpeas, and he was making some tomatoes and some sort of like noodle dish, and they probably eat meat. But I thought that was interesting because and then he was showing how they have the minimal amount of water, like just a tiny bit of water to wash their clothes. And oh my gosh, I don't know why this is political, but those poor children, and they don't have parents anymore. he can't reach his dad. His dad probably died. His mom definitely died, but where's his dad? There's so many children without parents, and I just don't think this is a political topic. And people, like in her other videos, I think I know why she turned off her comments, because people are just politicizing this. And then people said, well, the Christians all supported what the conservative government of Israel is doing to the Palestinians, but a lot of Israelis don't even support it. And I just think it's so wrong. And I'm not boycotting anything, okay? Because I think boycotting companies doesn't do a ding-dong thing, okay? You can boycott corporations into tomorrow. But I think the point is, maybe we shouldn't vote for Congress people who support these causes and these wars. But, it's just sad, and it's very convoluted. And I know people are going to say, but this is the best thing to do. And I don't think it is. It's really horrible what's happening. But I think it kind of gets swept under the carpet because you don't hear as much about it. And I don't think people care when it's not them. And I'm beginning to think that's a problem. People don't care when it's not them. If it's not them, they don't care. And that's very sad. Or, I don't know, like if it's a Western European country, then people care more. But it just seems every time something like this happens in the Middle East, people don't care. And that's why a lot of people who are Christian, like Lebanese and Syrian and Palestinian, don't support what's happening. So, yeah. But you should go watch Feast in the Middle East's videos. And this woman is not political at all. Like, she has not posted any political videos. But for somebody that was a Christian person, like putting these things out and kind of changing the course of their channel to highlight what's happening in Gaza, it's very sad what's happening to these children. But it just highlights that, it's a problem and it needs to end. And I have tried to not talk about it too much because I think everybody has made their decision, like what they think is correct and right. But we know it's not right and it's not correct. And, there was a Christian U.S. congressperson of Palestinian descent, and he lost family members in one of the churches that got attacked. So I just have no, I can't get behind any country that's continuing to say that, we should just support a country that's just attacking civilians. And then what else were they saying? The civilians should make Hamas surrender. And I was like, what? These are civilians. They have no control over what this group does, but this is how convoluted that is. It's so convoluted, and this is the justification. And a lot of people go along with it and they agree. I don't. I feel sad for the people that are unhoused, and you should too. And I think there's something wrong with people that say that we shouldn't feel sorry for people that are suffering. There's something wrong with that, and that doesn't make you a socialist. That doesn't make you any kind of thing that other people try to tell us. That's why there's a lot of astute, intelligent people that are on the side of this not happening, and it kind of lifted the veil of just seeing, like I was saying in my last talk, why it seems like certain Middle Eastern people, we're just not as valuable, to certain, that's the way you start feeling that's what they think about us. And we learn the truth because I'm not going to sugarcoat it anymore. I think there's a lot of conservative Israeli people. I don't think they think very much of Palestinian people or Lebanese people, no matter their religion, unless you're supporting everything that they say. And I just can't get behind that, because the smart, intelligent, empathetic people of Israel do not support this war. And they're the cool cats. And I always like the cool cats. And you know what? If you can't see that your country is making a boo-boo, just like when the U.S., like somebody chastised me last night, when the U.S. was involved in Vietnam, like if you can't see that it's a problem that attacks civilians, then you have a problem. Because this is never going to end well, and it's not going well. But hey, this is why I hate war, and I don't support war of any kind. But anybody who says, well, this is an exception and this is the outlier, it's gaslighting. And yeah, I don't like gaslighting. But anyway, check out Feast of the Middle East channel. Somebody who was not political, not posting political content, just posting really good cooking videos. And if they've kind of turned around and they're starting to post content showing like what's happening to like children in the Middle East, like in Palestine, Gaza, maybe you should think about it. But you know, we're never going to get through to the people that already made their decision, because they are absolutely right. But anyway, those are my thoughts, and thanks for watching.